In every society, in every quiet corner of our bustling world, there exist individuals who carry entire universes within them. They walk among us, often appearing serene, thoughtful, and perfectly composed. Yet beneath that calm surface lies a world of profound complexity, a landscape of intricate thought and overwhelming emotion that few are ever invited to see. These are the keepers of quiet truths, the silent observers whose inner lives are as rich and turbulent as the deepest oceans. They have learned, out of necessity, to navigate the world through a series of carefully constructed habits, patterns of behavior that protect their sensitive inner core from a world that often moves too fast and speaks too loud. These are not mere quirks of personality. They are sophisticated survival strategies, honed over years of feeling just slightly out of sync with everyone else. These hidden habits can often mirror the traits associated with neurodivergence, not because every one of these individuals fits a clinical definition, but because their minds are wired to process the world with a different kind of intensity. They feel the unspoken emotions in a room. They analyze the subtle shifts in a conversation, and they carry the weight of this perception in silence. They do not often have a name for why they do what they do. They only know the profound exhaustion that comes from a lifetime of masking, of overthinking, of striving for a standard of perfection that exists only in their own minds. This is a journey into that hidden world, an exploration of the secret architecture that supports one of the most misunderstood personalities. This is an invitation to understand, and for those who live it, to feel, perhaps for the first time, truly seen. The first and perhaps most fundamental habit is the art of the invisible mask. From a very young age, these individuals become masters of social camouflage. They possess an almost psychic ability to read a room, to understand the expectations of those around them, and to present a version of themselves that will cause the least friction. This is not deception. It is a profound act of self-preservation. When you feel emotions with the force of a physical blow and notice every subtle sign of disapproval, fitting in becomes essential for survival. So, they learn to smile when they are breaking inside, to nod in agreement when their inner compass is screaming in protest, and to offer a steady hand when their own world is shaking. This habit of masking becomes so ingrained that it often operates on autopilot. They are the calm colleague in a stressful meeting, hiding a racing heart. They are the supportive friend who listens for hours, even when their own emotional reserves are completely depleted. They are the quiet family member who smooths over tensions, absorbing the conflict so that others don't have to. To the outside world, they are pillars of stability, easygoing and agreeable. But this performance comes at a tremendous cost. It creates a chasm between their authentic self and the person they present to the world, a lonely space where they feel perpetually unknown. The greatest fear is that if the mask were to slip, the intensity and depth of what lies beneath would be too much for others to handle. The tragic irony is that this relentless effort to maintain connection by being what others need them to be is the very thing that fosters a deep sense of disconnection. They are surrounded by people who love the carefully curated image, but who have never met the person behind it. This is why they often retreat into solitude, not because they are antisocial, but because solitude is the only place where the mask can finally come off, where they can breathe without the crushing weight of expectation. They hide this habit because admitting to it feels like confessing to a lifetime of inauthenticity, a betrayal of the very people they work so hard to please. And so, the performance continues, a silent and exhausting one-person show. The second habit is the relentless post-mortem of every social interaction. For this personality type, a conversation is never truly over when the words stop. Instead, it begins a second life inside their mind, an endless loop of analysis. They will replay every word, every pause, every shift in tone and body language, searching for hidden meanings and potential missteps. Did my comment land the wrong way? Was my silence misinterpreted as judgment? Did they seem distracted when I was speaking? This isn't simple reflection. It is a form of intense mental forensics, driven by an almost unbearable desire to ensure that no one was inadvertently harmed or offended. In some cultures, there is a concept of reading the air, of sensing the emotional undercurrents of a group. This personality lives in that state permanently, and the fear of misreading the air is a constant source of anxiety. This mental review process is utterly exhausting and almost always fruitless. It magnifies minor details into major issues, turning a casual goodbye into a week-long investigation of perceived coldness. The other person has likely forgotten the interaction entirely. But for this individual, it remains an open case file, demanding a resolution that will never come. This habit forces them into a state of social caution. They may become slow to respond to messages, not out of disinterest, but because they are painstakingly crafting the perfect reply. They might avoid social gatherings altogether, not because they dislike people, but because the price of admission is hours of subsequent anxiety and self-doubt. They keep this hidden because it feels deeply insecure, almost irrational. Explaining it would require a level of vulnerability they are seldom willing to risk. The third hidden habit is a crippling perfectionism, especially in matters of creative or personal expression. These individuals are guided by a powerful and deeply felt inner vision. When they create something, whether it is a piece of art, a story, a business plan, or even a simple gift, they are not merely assembling components. They are attempting to translate a piece of their soul into the physical world. The vision in their mind is imbued with nuance, emotion, and a specific, intangible feeling. The struggle, then, is that the reality of their creation can almost never live up to the flawless ideal they hold inside. This gap between vision and reality feels like a profound personal failure. This quiet perfectionism is a dream killer. It is the reason for the dozens of half-finished novels saved on a hard drive, the beautiful melodies that are never recorded, the brilliant ideas that are never shared in a meeting. They will work tirelessly on a project, refining it in secret, only to abandon it at the final hurdle because one small detail feels wrong. To an outsider, this looks like a lack of follow-through. In reality, it is an excess of care. They would rather present nothing at all than present something that they feel betrays the integrity of their original vision. They fear that sharing an imperfect work will not only be judged harshly, but that it will be fundamentally misunderstood. And for them, being misunderstood is a fate worse than being invisible. The fourth habit is the avoidance of conflict at almost any personal cost. Many people dislike conflict, but for this personality, it is not just uncomfortable. It is a seismic event that destabilizes their entire inner world. Their sensitivity to emotional energy is so acute that a raised voice, a harsh word, or even a tense silence can feel like a physical assault. To maintain a state of external harmony, they will systematically dismantle their own needs, opinions, and boundaries. They become masters of concession, saying, "It's fine," when it is absolutely not fine. They will absorb unfair criticism, take on extra work, and apologize for things that are not their fault, all to prevent the fragile peace from shattering. This habit of self-erasure in the name of peace is a slow poison to the soul. It teaches them that their voice does not matter and that their needs are a burden. Resentment can begin to build beneath the surface, a quiet bitterness directed not only at others, but at themselves for their inability to speak their own truth. Relationships built on this foundation, while seemingly peaceful, lack true intimacy because one person is functionally absent. They hide this struggle because the act of advocating for themselves feels inherently aggressive and selfish. The guilt that follows even a minor act of self-assertion is so overwhelming that it reinforces the belief that silence, no matter how painful, is always the safer choice. The fifth habit, often completely invisible to others, is a profound vulnerability to sensory overload. In environments that are too loud, too bright, or too crowded, their nervous system is bombarded with more data than it can process. A busy shopping mall, a loud concert, or a chaotic party can feel like a full-scale assault. While others might feel energized or excited by such an atmosphere, this individual begins to feel their internal system short-circuit. They don't have a filter that can easily tune out background noise or peripheral movement. Their brain tries to register everything at once. The dozens of conversations, the flashing lights, the physical proximity of strangers. It becomes an overwhelming wave of static that drowns out their own thoughts. To cope, they develop subtle escape strategies. They might be the person who always stands near the exit at a party, or who volunteers to run an errand just to get a few minutes of quiet. They might suddenly become very quiet and withdrawn, not because they are bored or upset, but because they are using every ounce of their energy to hold themselves together. When they finally escape, the crash is severe. They require long periods of absolute silence and solitude to recover, to allow their frayed nervous system to reset. They hide this because they don't want to be seen as difficult, fragile, or antisocial. They feel ashamed of their own limits, so they push through the pain, smile through the internal chaos, and then disappear to fall apart in private. The sixth and final habit is a deep-seated difficulty in delegating tasks. This is not born of arrogance or a belief that they are superior. It stems from an intense sense of personal responsibility and a fear that the meaning and intention behind a task will be lost if it is entrusted to someone else. For them, how something is done is just as important as the final outcome. The work must have heart. It must be thoughtful. It must be executed with a certain level of care. They worry that another person will not see or honor these subtle but essential details. To avoid the potential discomfort of being disappointed or having to give critical feedback, they conclude that it is simply easier, safer, and more effective to do it all themselves. This pattern of taking on everything transforms them into the reliable one, the person who always gets things done. But this reliability is a cage of their own making. It leads to burnout, stress, and a growing sense of isolation. They feel like they are the only one who truly cares, even when surrounded by willing and capable people. They yearn for help, but are terrified to ask for it, trapped in a cycle of their own high standards. They hide the overwhelming weight of this burden, continuing to project an image of effortless competence while silently struggling to keep all the pieces from falling. To let go of control feels like letting go of the very soul of the work, a risk they are seldom willing to take. These 6 habits, the social mask, the endless analysis, the paralyzing perfectionism, the avoidance of conflict, the retreat from sensory overload, and the refusal to delegate are not character flaws. They are the intricate, often painful, adaptations of a deeply sensitive and conscientious soul trying to find its place in the world. They are the architecture of a hidden inner life, built to protect a core of extraordinary depth and empathy. To the outside observer, this person may seem merely quiet, perhaps a little reserved or overly thoughtful. They rarely see the constant, exhausting effort that goes into maintaining that quiet exterior. If you see yourself in this portrait, know that your way of being is not wrong. It is simply different. The world needs your depth, your intuition, and your profound capacity for care. The challenge is not to eliminate these traits, but to learn how to manage them with self-compassion, to build small bridges from your inner world to the outer one, and to find the courage to let someone see behind the mask, even if it's just for a moment. Your sensitivity is not a weakness. It is the source of your greatest strength. It allows you to see the beauty and the pain that others miss, and to connect with the world on a level that is truly meaningful. And if you know someone like this, someone who is quiet, thoughtful, and unfailingly kind, remember that their calm may be a carefully constructed masterpiece. Offer them patience. Offer them quiet understanding without demanding explanation. Create a safe space where they don't have to perform, where their silence is not seen as judgment, and where their sensitivity is not treated as a liability. The greatest gift you can give them is the reassurance that they are enough, exactly as they are, with all the beautiful and chaotic complexity they hold within. The world is loud and demanding, but it is in the quiet spaces, in the deep and thoughtful hearts of these individuals, that we often find our most profound truths. Their hidden struggles are a testament to how much they care, and their quiet endurance is a form of courage that goes largely unnoticed. By seeking to understand them, we not only offer them a sense of belonging, but we also open ourselves to a richer, more compassionate, and more deeply connected way of living. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the quiet world of the empathetic soul. May we all learn to listen more closely, not just to the words people speak, but to the silence in between. For it is there that we often find the truest story. If this exploration has resonated with you, we hope you will carry its message of understanding into your own life. Your attention and empathy are what allow these important stories to be told. May you walk in peace and with a newfound appreciation for the hidden universes that exist all around you.